Hey y'all, Jamie here with Country Diggers. Today I'm gonna do some true crime. All right. This article is gonna be from ranker.com, and the article is by Jodi Smith, and it's about Ken Rex McElroy. I don't know if y'all remember him or not, but they made a movie about him. He was the bully. The entire town he bullied the entire town, and somebody killed him, and the whole town kept quiet about it. Nobody really knows who killed him to this day. Nobody knows, except for the town, and they're not talking. All right, so they made a movie about it, and Brian Dennehy starred in it. I watched it a long time ago when it first came on, and I think you can still find it on YouTube. So if you want to watch it, it's called In Broad Daylight, and it's starring Brian Dennehy. It's a good movie too. All right, an entire community made a vigilante pact to kill the town bully and kept it quiet for 30 years. Ken Rex McElroy was murdered on July 10th, 1981. And one of the most bizarre cases authorities had ever encountered. It should have been an open and shut. There were dozens of witnesses, and the shooting occurred in broad daylight. But it wound up being anything but. Despite the facts, the residents of Skidmore, Missouri, weren't so eager to talk and point fingers. In the end, no one came forward. It sounds like the end of Roadhouse, but it's no Hollywood fantasy. An entire town enacted vigilante justice on the man who terrorized them for years. Even though there were more than 30 witnesses to the small town murder, police still don't know who exactly ended McElroy's life. An entire community, sick of being let down by the justice system, took the law into their own hands and got away with it. McElroy was struck down in his car in the middle of the day. On the date of McElroy's passing, he was in his pickup truck with his wife Trina. They were parked on the main street in Skidmore in broad daylight when they were surrounded by a disgruntled group of over 30 town residents. As McElroy nonchalantly reached to light a cigarette from the pack he had just bought, several shots were fired into the truck. He was struck in the head and neck while Trina screamed in horror. No one attempted to assist McElroy, and no one called an ambulance. The townsfolk had no intention of letting McElroy survive. There were at least 2 shooters in the crowd of over 30 residents. There was more than one shooter present at the time of the murder, no doubt as part of an effort to make it difficult to ascertain who was responsible. One shot came from behind the truck and another from a block away. Shell casings were found at the scene from a .22 caliber Magnum and an 8mm Mauser, the latter of which has long-range capabilities. None of the witnesses would divulge any information. McElroy's wife, Trina, eventually accused Dale Clement, a ranger business owner in the town. Clement never confessed and was never charged. A coroner's jury didn't think there was evidence for an arrest warrant, and no one ever corroborated Trina's accusation. The FBI, grand juries, and county prosecutors couldn't make the residents talk. County Prosecutor David Baird put forth a grand jury confident a suspect would be detained with so many witnesses in attendance. Despite this, no arrests were ever made or any suspects named. The FBI held over 100 interviews, but was never able to find one shred of evidence to tie a single person to McElroy's sudden passing. The people of Skidmore refused to talk, so no indictments could be made. McElroy's final foul act was assaulting the town grocer. In 1980, McElroy's daughter was accused of taking candy from the Skidmore Town grocery, owned by 70-year-old Ernest Bowenkamp. Bowenkamp. When McElroy was confronted over the matter, his response was to offer money to Mrs. Bowenkamp to fight his wife Trina. McElroy then began spending time outside of the grocery in his pickup truck with his gun on hand. In July of that year, McElroy caught Bowenkamp on the store's dock waiting on a repairman. Bowenkamp told McElroy to leave as he was trespassing. McElroy gave money to two young boys to go buy a soda so that there would be no witnesses. Then McElroy shot Bowenkamp in the neck. Townspeople were holding a meeting about McElroy the day he was struck. After shooting the town grocer and escaping punishment once again, the people of Skidmore decided to pool their efforts and protect witnesses set to attend a hearing to revoke McElroy's bond on the morning of July 10th, 1981. McElroy was somehow able to get the hearing postponed, however infuriating the town. A town meeting was held to discuss McElroy, though no one knows if it was to further plan the protection of witnesses or to facilitate an act of retaliation. Excuse me, had to get a drink. McElroy's widow sued Skidmore. In 1984, Trina filed a wrongful death suit against the county sheriff's office, the mayor, and Dale Clement. Although she was seeking $6 million, the suit was settled out of court for just over $17,000, and no wrongdoing was admitted by any of the parties. The official reason for the suit failing to proceed further was a desire to avoid any costly legal fees. Trina eventually remarried, left Skidmore, and moved to Lebanon, Missouri, where she passed away in January of 2012. McElroy married his victims to avoid legal charges. McElroy met Trina when she was just 12 years old, and he was more than 20 years her senior. After committing statutory rape and impregnating the then 14-year-old Trina, McElroy moved the young girl into the home he shared with his Commonwealth wife, Alice. Trina gave birth to McElroy's child in 1973, and according to Trina's accounts, McElroy married her in 1974 in order to avoid charges of engaging with a minor. Even after his marriage to Trina, McElroy continued to father children with Alice. Collectively, he had 11 children between 3 women. Angry with his future in-laws, McElroy dispatched their dog and burned down their house. According to court records, after the birth of her first child with McElroy, Trina ran home to her parents. McElroy reportedly found her and took her back to his house. McElroy was allegedly angry with Trina's mother and stepfather. When Trina's mother and stepfather refused to permit him to marry the underage girl, and so returned to their home and killed their dog. He then set their house on fire, burning it to the ground. Trina would later recant the story that led to McElroy's multiple indictments when speaking with People magazine after his passing. McElroy targeted his future wife when she was only 12. Before McElroy impregnated and eventually married Trina, McElroy routinely followed her school bus, honking and yelling until it pulled over, and he was able to remove the 12-year-old girl. After giving birth to the pair's first child together, McElroy was indicted for statutory rape. the arson of Trina's mother's house, and assault. Trina was placed in foster home with her baby, infuriating McElroy. He would sit outside the foster home and threaten to kidnap the family's daughter. Reportedly, he said he would trade their daughter, implying he would abduct her, for Trina, a girl for a girl exchange. Indicted 21 times, McElroy regularly intimidated witnesses and avoided conviction. McElroy had a long list of offenses that had, for one reason or another, gone largely unpunished. In other cases where McElroy was arrested and charged, he would employ the same behaviors he did with Bowenkamp, coercion. As such witnesses would refuse to testify, lawyers would balk at prosecuting him, and judges were loath to incite his wrath. Thus, Skidmore endured McElroy and his illicit actions without any hope of a conviction sticking. Even after a conviction in the shooting of Bowenkamp, McElroy was able to successfully appeal and avoid jail before his passing. A farmer told McElroy not to fire on his property, so McElroy fired at him. In one of many criminal interactions with McElroy, Skidmore farmer Romaine Henry alleged that McElroy shot him in 1976. In his claim, Henry said he confronted McElroy for firing guns on his farmland. Instead of leaving, McElroy targeted Henry. While waiting on a trial date to be set, McElroy drove his pickup to Henry's farm and repeatedly intimidated the farmer. When a trial was finally set, McElroy managed to find 2 raccoon hunters who claimed he was with them and not on Henry's property on the date in question. McElroy ended up being acquitted. The book and movie adaptation In Broad Daylight were based on McElroy's passing. Author Harry H. McLean wrote a New York Times bestseller when he put the story of Skidmore and McElroy on paper. In Broad Daylight details McElroy's life, beginning as the 15th of 16 children, dropping out of school at age 15, and going on to a life of crime that ended in a mysterious case of vigilante justice. In 1991, a film adaptation of the book was produced for television. Brian Dennehy portrayed Lynn Rowan, a character based on McElroy. Co-stars included Cloris Leachman, Marcia Gay Harding, and Chris Cooper. All right, you see, people can only take so much, and then they're going to fight back. All right, hope you enjoyed. Bye.